Hi everybody, my name is Nyla Hill, and today I'm going to be talking about the digital interview process. So first things first is retrieving your assignment. Editors will assign stories to you with at least 2 weeks in advance before they are due. Within those 2 weeks, it is your job to talk to the people who are involved in your assignment and write your story. This is the time to ask any and all questions that you may have about your assignment. So before you sit down and reach out to people, if you have no idea what it is and you just want like a general, like, hey, what is this? Feel free to talk to somebody on staff because I guarantee there's going to be at least one person who knows a little bit about what the topic is. Step 2 is setting up the interview. So, in order to set up the interview, you have to know who to talk to. For example, if you're writing a sports story on like boys tennis, you don't know who's on the team, ask your editor, ask me or Mr. Garland, and we can get you the roster with the names. We can also get you who the coach is and information like that. Message the person on Google Hangouts. If they do not respond within 24 hours, send them an email and schedule a meeting time with them and briefly let them know what you're going to be interviewing them about. So if I were receiving my assignment 2 weeks in advance, by the second day, I would have the list of people I need to contact, and I would be sending them all emails or Google Hangout messages. Also, we aim for at least 4 people in an interview, but since we are digital and at least since school is remote now, it may be a little bit harder to get in contact with people. So I would recommend trying to find 5 or 6 people just in case you need a backup or just in case you can't reach someone. That way you aren't short on your requirements for your story. Also, the more people you can interview, the better off your story is going to be because you'll get a way better feel for your topic and you can ask different people different questions. And it'll also be a lot easier to fill in with those quotes, and just your story overall would be a lot easier for you to write in the end. So get your questions ready. If you're reaching out to people on that second day, by the third day, hopefully your questions are all together if they're not already together. And of course, since we are doing digital interviews, you're probably going to have questions while the meeting or while the interview is going. That's perfectly fine. But it's always better to prepare questions ahead of time, and that way you're not both just looking at each other, kind of waiting on someone to say something that may spark a potential question from you. So always have a list of questions ready. Also, if you have a assignment where you're going to interview a staff member and a student, I recommend doing different questions for staff members and students. And I also recommend varying the questions that you ask the students because you don't want the same answers from every single student because that's going to make it really hard to write your story or write your assignment. So this is an example of how I would send a Google Hangout message or an email. So I would say, hi, my name is Nyla Hill. I'm a part of the Belleville West newspaper, High News, and I would like to set up a time to interview you on Google Meet/Zoom. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but Google Meets is going to be for teachers, and as of now, Zoom is going to be for students. I would say I would like to set up a time to interview you on Google Meet/Zoom about whatever topic I am writing about. The interview should not take longer than 20 minutes. Here's my availability for this week in hopes to find a time that works for the both of us. So if I was only available Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's what I would put, and I would put time slots. So I would say if I was available Monday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., that's what I would put. If on Wednesday I'm only available from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., that's what you put. And so by putting your availability, it will allow you and whoever you're trying to interview to work around that and find a time slot for the both of you where you have 20 solid minutes to get your interview done. And then I would follow with also, may our interview be recorded so I can make sure I get what you say verbatim, and so it is easier for me to go back and review as needed. Thank you and have a wonderful day. And so this is pretty much a general example, layout, whatever you want to call it, of how I would send my messages and emails. Feel free to copy this literally word for word and just change out what you need to fit your story. So step 3 is the interview itself. The first thing you're going to want to do is schedule a meeting on Google Meet for teachers and Zoom for students. So the reason for this is that at the moment, students are not allowed to conduct meetings in Google Meet without an adult present. Part of this is because beforehand, there was an issue where somehow students would become like the, the leader of the Google Meet chat, and so teachers weren't able to record their lessons. So for student meetings or student interviews on Zoom, there is a way to lock the meeting. Once the person you're interviewing or the people you're interviewing have joined, make sure to lock the meeting so nobody else can get in. So you don't have any random people accidentally joining, that kind of stuff. Also, since these interviews are going to be online, if you're interviewing a group of kids for a story assignment, like let's say we're writing about Harambe. In Harambe, we have LITs. So if you want to interview all the LITs at once and they're all available, it would be a good idea to set up just one big Google Meet or one big Zoom. That way everybody can be there at the same time, and that way you can just kind of ask everybody questions at once. So make sure to record their meeting if they allow. At the moment, I am using Screencastify, and I believe it should work if you are recording on a Google Meet or Zoom. However, plan for failing technology. So you can do like a voice memo on your phone, which will pick up the audio of you and the person speaking, or write down the answers. Just make sure you have a plan B in case plan A, which is Screencastify, does not work. And so then begin the interview. If you have any questions that occur when they're talking about something, this is the time to ask. I always say when you're thinking about your questions, if you don't know it, your reader probably isn't going to know it. And even if you do know it, make sure you get clarity from the people who are in that organization to make sure that everything is exactly what you thought it was. Because sometimes we know about stuff, but we forget that our readers sometimes don't. So always make sure that you're asking clarifying questions along with your regular what are you guys doing kind of questions, or whatever it is about your story. And thank them for meeting before and after. So it's very important that we use like internet courtesy or whatever you want to call it. So just make sure, when they join, say, hi, thank you for joining. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be in this Google Meet for this interview. And before you guys leave, make sure you say, once again, thank you for being in this Google Meet for this interview. I really appreciate it. If I have any questions, can I either email you or message you on Google Hangouts? Most of the time, they're going to say yes. If they say no, then they just say no, and we have to respect that. It'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. That's why you also have other people who you're going to interview in case someone is just like, I want to be done with this. So step 4 for after the interview. Make sure to get some form of communication with them in case there are any last minute questions while you're writing. This is important because sometimes we get to something and we're like, wait, I don't know what this is. And so it's always nice to just have some form of communication to be able to reach back out and say, hey, can you actually go over this again with me so I can make sure that I'm talking about it in the correct manner. So write your story and send it to your editor as soon as you finished it and made all the edits that you think are necessary. So one of the most important things is deadlines. And since we're digital, there's really no reason why we shouldn't be able to upload a new story each day for each section. This means that editors need time to edit and review and give feedback on your stories. So after you submit them, editors are going to take about a day or two max, but really just a day, look over your story and send it back. So expect to hear feedback from your editor on your story, whether it's, hey, great job, or whether it's, hey, great job, but can you fix these few things? What does this mean? Can you clarify? So just make sure that you're expecting to hear back from your editor about your story. And so this is a last minute checklist. So did you find out who you need to talk to? Did you set up a meeting time with them? Do you have your questions planned? Did you thank them for meeting with you? And did you schedule your interviews with enough time to write your story? This is going to be super important this year, and it's probably going to take just a little bit of time to get used to. So you're definitely going to have to plan this out and make sure that you get everything in a timely manner. And so you are now all set and prepared to conduct an interview for whatever your story assignment is. If you have any questions, the email will be in the description below. And thank you for watching this video.